Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? Hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, today we're talking about the one, the only. How did you guys know? Maybe the title gave it away. Maybe the thumbnail gave it away. Zbec network. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be mainly a technical analysis video. So you could either just listen or try your best to keep up with what I'm going to represent and show you guys on these charts. Listen, right? Because last video we didn't really talk about the technical analysis too much. So I do want to break it down a little bit more. I will try to use very basic analogies and such so everyone can understand. Listen, first thing is first, we can kind of see, ladies and gentlemen, that around the 0.0052, you could even debate, let's just say 5.3, there is a resistance up here, right? If you're not familiar with what a resistance is, just imagine it's kind of like the roof, right? When we kind of go near the roof, we can see there's been multiple times where we have sold off, right? We tap here, sell, tap here, sell. We tap here, sell off, big sell off, right? We tap here, sell. We tap here, big sell off. So we can see, right, the 0.0053 area has kind of been like the peak we've been able to hit ever since, let's just say early to mid August, right? So, it's been some time, but that's good because the thing is, ladies and gentlemen, the more you attempt to break through a zone, the weaker the zone gets. Okay, so just imagine, like, I don't know, if it was ice or something, right? You hit the ice on the ground, you see like that small crack. You hit it again, it cracks a little bit more. And then you keep hitting it, keep hitting it, keep hitting it, and eventually the ice breaks. So that's kind of like how the roof and the floor work, just for people that aren't new. And we can see our floor mainly has been, I would say, let's just say 0.0037, right? 37 over here. We can see we've had a very nice support. And you might say, well, it just seems like we're kind of going sideways. And the truth is, yes, ladies and gentlemen, we have been ranging between the 0.0037 and the 0.003, oh, sorry, 53. So we have just been kind of going sideways like pretty much the last 2 months, which is okay. It's actually not that bad, especially considering that, back in May, we did see a huge surge to the upside. So the reality is, ladies and gentlemen, things could have been way worse for something like Zebec, right? And here's the deal, Zebec, it's not shy of going sideways because before we actually had that huge breakout, which triggered near the end of April and really accelerated near the mid to late May. Zbec network went sideways for practically almost upwards of a year. We can see, right, clear as day, it was just bouncing between these zones. Sure, it went up a little bit higher at one point for 2 weeks, but in general, multiple weeks, like 95 to 98% of the time, it was just going between these, this whole green zone. So we can see Zbec is not shy of going sideways. But here's the deal, people. Going sideways is actually very good. Now you might think, well, how is it good? Because the longer we go sideways, imagine kind of like us having a catapult and kind of pulling the catapult back to eventually launch the big rock. And the rock for us would be the price going up. So that's what happens when crypto goes sideways for a while. It's why sometimes something in bear season, right? When crypto seems dead and no one's really paying attention for like that year and a half to 2 years, most cryptos would just kind of go sideways down a little bit, more or less. And usually after that, let's just say upwards of 2 years, you see a breakup, right? And everyone's like, oh, crypto's back, crypto's back. Because that's just how it works. And that's just the reality of crypto and people's psychology and everything. We can see, ladies and gentlemen, right? In terms of weekly candles. Now, here is the deal. I'm going to remove these drawings. We have been making lower and lower swing points, which means that although we have been attempting to go higher, we have been failing, right? Which is why obviously we're still ranging. But in terms of weekly candles, we have been consistently closing lower and lower in terms of the swing points, right? First swing point at 0.00534, right? Second swing point, we close at 0.0050. And then the third swing point is actually at 0.0049. So we can see, right? We haven't officially made a higher high in terms of swing points. In terms of low points, we pretty much have a double bottom right here, right? These are kind of like the main areas we're looking for. So yeah, once again, we are ranging, but the reason why I do point this out is because, like I said, we are failing to just close as a weekly candle higher, which means on the higher time frame, we're not really getting that confirmation that we will be going up consistently. But look, right, that is still not the end of the day, right? When I look at Zebec right now, what is the main thing I'm looking for? Well, here is this, right? We are kind of in this type of trend, clear as day. Let's remove certain things. We can see that we're kind of like in the zone, right? We're kind of in the zone. We're kind of trapped a little bit, and we are consistently, as of right now, forming lower and lower highs. Right on a 4 hour, we have a high here. We have a lower high here, and if this candle closes the way it's most likely going to close, we will form another lower high. So we can see we're kind of stuck, right? We're kind of stuck in this mini zone. We are kind of just having a support around the 0.0039, right? So we are going to have to make a decision because once again, we are getting squished, right? We can see that we can technically be going sideways for a little bit more, right? Boom, boom, boom. But eventually, sooner than later, sometime this week, we are going to have to make a decision. Now, the one thing I am kind of not worried for, but just keeping an eye out is, somewhere in this zone. And you might be thinking, well, why down here? And that's because, ladies and gentlemen, right? There's this huge wick, this huge sell-off candle that we had, right? That 1 hour candle sold off 40%. And there may be a little key detail of a manipulation zone that we might tap into. Like see like the 5 minute, for example, the 5 minute is right down here. So we might tap into the 0.003. So, we are ranging right now, but we might see a quick dip, right? A quick dip, something like this, and then a resurgence to the upside and do something like this. Now, I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but it's just something I am keeping an eye out for, okay? Just in case there's some next level quick manipulation, right? And like I said, manipulation can be very, very quick. For example, when Zebec dumped, right? We had the main dump took roughly 10 minutes. Now, if you want to count this other part from like the top, sure, we'll count this from the top from here. The whole thing still took only 30 minutes. So that's the thing. And then the main dump, like I said, took 10. So things, when they get manipulated, they can last very, very quick, just minutes in and out before you know it. And we can see, right? When we start to go up, it took 10 minutes to get back up to here. At 20 minutes, we were here. At 25, 30 minutes, we almost recovered a lot. We recovered like 70 to 80% of the move to the downside. So like I said, ladies and gentlemen, things can happen super, super quick. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, overall, we're just kind of in a range. We're in a very, very big range and we're in a small range, looking for that short-term manipulation to ultimately come to the downside. And if we don't get it, then we probably won't see it at all, right? Because if we kind of respect this triangle and we break out of this triangle, then we most likely would just continue and we'll leave this for another day or just until, or maybe until next cycle, right? Until next cycle. But overall, ladies and gentlemen, Zbcn network is holding its price very, very well, right? It is literally, if we take it from even this point up here, and even let's just say downwards of this point, it is below the 50% just a little bit, right? If we do something like this, boom, right? It is at the 61 area, but you could also debate that we should actually put it lower down here because this was the start of the surge, which I agree. I would say this is more accurate. And we can see, right, when it comes to the whole move up and down, we're roughly around the 50% zone, which is fantastic, people. You got to realize most cryptos are down around the 85 to 90% zone while we're at 50%. So yeah, things are looking good for Zebec. In fact, things are looking very, very great. And that's not even talking about the news that's going to come in quarter 4. But that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I love you guys so, so much. Hopefully some things got explained fairly, easily. Hopefully you guys understand most of it at least. And I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.